Hey, it's Jeff Walker, and I bet I know what you're thinking. You're sitting at home thinking, boy, I wish Jeff would publish a case study of someone with a bricks and mortar store that sold yarn, a yarn store. Well, today is your lucky day because that's exactly what I've got. This case study, I think you're gonna love it. It's with Shelley Brander, and she has an offline, a bricks and mortar yarn store in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And she did a pretty extraordinary launch with product launch formula. So you know the drill. After the video's over, leave a comment for Shelley, leave a comment for me, tell us what you thought, hit that thumbs up button, and let's go get them this week.
Knitting's been a passion of mine since I first learned to knit when I was 16, and then along the way I just got this crazy idea to open a yarn store. I've been in branding for 30 years. I have an ad agency with my husband, and we started that 30 years ago. All my friends and family thought I was completely crazy to go from this really successful branding business and go out on this crazy limb and start a yarn store. I had no retail background whatsoever. I had no idea what I was doing. All I had in my back pocket was branding skills and a dream, and I loved to knit. So the initial plan for the yarn store, I put together a business plan, and it took me about 2 years to get into this shopping center that I really wanted to be in. The guy that owned the shopping center was really interested, but I couldn't get him to give me a lease deal. And so I ordered this cashmere from New York, and I made him a scarf, and I dropped the scarf off on Christmas Eve with a proposal, and New Year's Day I got the lease deal. It just kept haunting me, like someday, like wow, I could do this. Like I think I could open a yarn store. And I thought, I can open a different kind of yarn store. I want to open a modern yarn store where you can walk in, find a great project really fast, and then get back out the door and get started on it. We've totally created a community with Loops. It's really, it's like a Starbucks, but even better. I mean, you walk in, they say it's like Cheers, everyone knows your name when you walk in the door. And there's like a buzz that happens in the store it's just addictive, and people just want to be here all the time. And that went along for about 4 years. But we really were starting to struggle just because the retail business as a whole was struggling. And it's also a really seasonal business. Yarn is tough because it's great September to December, but it's really hard to keep it going through spring and summer. It's just hard to pay the bills and hard to stay on top of stuff. When I first opened Loops, my goal was to be out of the branding business within a year or two. But it's really, in retail it's tough. You know, I tried to maintain both of these businesses. It's just the day-to-day grind, you know, of trying to run two businesses and wishing you could clone yourself. You know, I needed 3 of me. I needed 1 of me for my kids and my husband, 1 of me for the yarn business, and 1 of me for the branding business. And I just knew I couldn't keep it up forever and really give 100% to the real passion. I mean, because the branding business was bringing in the money and the yarn business was where my passion was, it was a struggle for me because, you know, I need to put food on the table, and you know, it's just 6 months out of the year I was living in fear, like how am I going to get to the next month? There was a point where it was like it was either going to be the money or the passion, and I was going to have to choose. And then when I first watched that very first Jeff Walker video and I found product launch formula, I had no idea how it was going to really transform my life. So I started watching. I thought, well, I'll just give this a couple minutes of my time. And before I knew it, it was like an hour later, and I was soaking up as much, you know, of the free content that was out there as I possibly could. And then, as I got a little deeper into the content, it dawned on me I had seen this before without even realizing it. So I'm actually a huge tennis player. I'm addicted to tennis, and I had actually previously bought into a program called No Partner, No Problem with Will Hamilton. And I had been up late at night and seen some of Will Hamilton's videos with the Bryan brothers. And I thought, wow, this is really great content. I mean, I'm a fairly advanced tennis player, but it was really helpful content. I couldn't believe he was giving it away for free. And then along came an offer, and I bought into it. And I've been in branding for 30 years, you know. I consider myself pretty knowledgeable and pretty jaded. And when it dawned on me that process had actually worked on me and delivered and given me real value, I thought, okay, I'm onto something here. I've got to buy into this program. From the very first video, it's like I could not get enough. It was like I was binge watching it one video after another, taking notes like a madman. And then, you know, really, I was on the very first module when the idea of Loops Club came to me. So Loops Club is an auto ship program that solves the problem for us of the seasonality of the yarn business. And it also puts a whole bunch of predictability into the business that isn't there for most retail businesses. Every month, people get a really cool knitting project in the mail. They get the yarn, they get a pattern, and they get sometimes little surprises, like on-trend, effortless knitting projects. So they're not really hard, but they're really nice yarns. And so we curate that for them and we send them cool projects every month. It's always something a little bit different. The color's a surprise. And I can't believe, from the very first Loops Club kit that we sent out, the response has been tremendous. So the literal return on investment is that my initial launch made $75,000 and my next follow-up launch 3 months later made twice that. But the true return on investment is it gave me my passion back. Actually, in that moment when I was deciding whether to invest or not, it was like, well, I could spend a bunch of extra money buying Christmas gifts from my family because it was right before the holidays, or I could invest in this and sort of give them their mom back, like a mom who's engaged and excited and happy and, you know, not walking around with the fear of how am I going to pay the bills the next day. Every day I get up and I'm excited to create the next project and negotiate the next yarn deal and read the comments from our Loops Club members about, you know, how much they're enjoying the process. And then the other way it's really helped, I mean, my family feels it at home. They see that mom's not super stressed out every day, especially January through July. You know, they get the happy fall winter mommy like all year round. I didn't realize how I was walking around with fear. You know, I didn't realize how much fear I was carrying around and what a negative impact it was having on my business and my family. And that's what PLF really did ultimately for me, is that it gave me my passion back. It gave my kids an engaged mom back. I no longer was this divided Shelley walking around just so stressed out. I was suddenly the person who got into the yarn business to begin with, and with even more passion. And I just want to, it's like, what can I do next? You know, it makes you think, what can I launch next? It makes you think in a whole new way. You're not just, Jeff talks about hope marketing, you're not just going day to day with hope and fear. All of a sudden you have a plan and you can't wait to put the plan into action and see what it creates.